Hey, what's going on guys? Today I'm going to show you a simple and quick color grading workflow to bring your action sports footage to life in Final Cut just like this. So the first thing that you're going to want to do before we jump into the color grading is drop down into the description of this video and download the adjustment layer folder. Once you've downloaded that folder, go ahead and open up Finder on your Mac, go into the home folder, then go into movies, go into motion templates, and then paste the adjustment folder into the titles folder in motion templates. And once that's in there, be sure to either restart Final Cut if you had it open while you were doing that, or if it wasn't open, go ahead and crank it up and we'll get right into the color grading. So in Final Cut, where you're gonna find those layers that we just created are in titles, adjustment, and then go ahead and pull in your base correction layer on top of your timeline. Today's footage that I'm using comes from Down to Film, an editing contest by Down to Film, where he had some footage that he created with Toby Miller. So I'm gonna show you guys how I color graded that footage like in the video opening this up. So the first thing that you're gonna wanna do is to really balance out this footage, we're going to open up our color wheels, which gives us our shadows, highlights, midtones, and then a master wheel to play with. And then we're gonna wanna open up our reference chart here with Command 7 on the keyboard. And once that opens up, you can give it a little more space in the window. And really the goal here is to set kind of a black point right above 0 and then to drive our highlights as high as we can without losing any data in the image, and that's gonna really help us bring it to life. So the first thing we're gonna do here, go into our shadows, pull that down. You can see how it's moving the colors down. Right above 0 is usually where that's gonna look good. Not quite at black, but right above it. And then we're gonna take our highlights and we're gonna drive those up more and more until we're starting to lose data. So I like to push these. You see here where there's a flat line, kind of a ceiling right at 110 between 100 and 120. We don't want those hard lines. That means we've started to lose data. So I'm gonna pull back on this, on our highlights until right when I'm kind of touching that. I think that's gonna look pretty good. It's kind of messing with me right now. That's gonna look good right there. Sweet. So that's done a lot in terms of just kind of balancing out the footage, but now what we're gonna wanna do is to bring a little more color into it. And what you'll see is after you've done that adjustment, it doesn't necessarily work for all the clips in the footage, so we're gonna need to go through this process for each one of the scenes. So go ahead and just separate the base correction from the next scene. So we're just isolated it because we're going to apply saturation differently as well. So on this first base correction, you can see even at the end here, we're starting to lose a little bit of data. So I think I'm going to pull this down just a little bit more. So that's going to get us there on this clip. Pretty good. And then I'm going to go into the color board, actually open up saturation, and then really start pulling the saturation up to bring some more color and life into the clip here. So I'm gonna play with my midtones, really just going between highlights, midtones, and shadows to see what's gonna give me kind of the best vibe for the footage. My goal was really to bring this footage to life as much as possible, not necessarily put my own look on it. I wanted to try to replicate like what it would have looked like if you were there. So that's kind of why I'm going with this pretty base level look without applying another look onto it, but I will show you guys how to do that. So that base correction looks pretty good. Gonna run through that clip, I love it. So now I wanna do the same process for this next scene. So I'm gonna go ahead and separate this from the scene after that, where he's going up the super pipe. Just have this head turn right here. Cool. So it looks like I'm a little topped out in terms of my highlights, so I'm gonna drop those down a little bit so I'm just kind of just barely touching that ceiling. That looks pretty good. See what I wanna do with my shadows. Maybe drop those down. That's a little too dark for me, so I'm gonna keep those up a little bit. Cool. And then same process, go into my color board, Open up saturation, gonna drive up the main saturation here and then start playing with my other levels to see if I can kind of get a fun look that I feel like is pretty good here. So I really like where that's going. Yeah, there we go. The sun flare is looking pretty good. That might be a little too intense right there. Cool, so I like how that's going. Nice. Sweet. And now I'm gonna grade this one. So same process here, we'll go through it one more time. Drop down my highlights so they're not really hitting that peak. If they're really light like that, you might want to do it. I'm gonna pull up my shadows some probably just so I can get it to be a little brighter, more in line with the project. That's gonna be too much. Alrighty, and then we're gonna go into our color board, go into saturation, and we probably can do a good amount of lightening if we're gonna bring in some more color here. I like where that's going. I like where that's going. Nice. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Cool. So you're gonna wanna go through that process for all of your clips. And once you've finished the process, at least on my footage, what it's gonna look like is this right here. So I have my base correction across all of my clips. It's broken down by scene just to make sure that those colors are all in line. And then after I've really nailed down that vibe across all of these different clips, what I'm gonna do now is I can apply a look on top of that. I've positioned some of these clips differently for the edit, etc. And if you wanna add, you know, a different type of vibe on top of this footage, you can do that this way. So go ahead and pull in your look grade. We're gonna pull this just across our entire project here. And the first thing that I'm gonna wanna do is you can see kind of how I have some gaps on this footage on the top, on the bottom, just depending on how I positioned it in the window. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to apply a letterbox on this. So just gonna go in here, pull in the letterbox effect. There we go. Open it up right here. And that's gonna do that for us. So now I've got a little more of a cinematic, so to speak, feel on the footage. I'm liking that a lot. Nice. There we go. Cool. All right, and then the next step will be for if you're trying to really apply a different look to the footage, if you want to give it kind of the whole project a vibe, you've already made all the clips kind of have the same base look, so then you can really edit that better on this top look. So if you want to apply a LUT maybe you really like to this, or if you even want to go back into your color board, you can start playing around with colors more so on this. So if you want to drive up, you know, some yellow kind of orangey red look to it, you can do that and really apply that across your whole edit. You can pull that, or you could start putting some more blue into it, really kind of going with wherever you want in terms of dialing in a different look for it. This is the place to do it. Or I know what a lot of us would do, we could take a custom LUT, drop that onto our look grade, and then go ahead and select the LUT that we're looking for. If we have one that we want to use, we could drop that on there across our whole project to give the footage that look. And what's really great about that is then it's really easy to make sure the LUT's gonna look good across all your footage because you've already made sure all the clips are pretty aligned already, and the LUT's gonna apply that much better. So I hope that is gonna work for you guys. It's a pretty quick and simple workflow for Final Cut color grading. It's definitely more of a base level, but you can then move on to other tools or other plugins once you've really nailed this down. But it's really helped me bring some of my quick edits to life and make them look that much better when I put them online. So guys, hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you later. Peace.